This is episode 104 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Leka Devatha. Leka is the owner of Rehabit Homes, a real estate developer and broker based in Seattle. Her company focuses on residential redevelopment. She's spearheaded hundreds of transactions, developing over 50 million in real estate, probably much more now because bios are always out of date. 8 years or more of experience. She also has an event space. She's doing loans. I can't even keep up. And she was recently the co-host of the Bigger Pockets conference in Orlando, and we were on a panel together. Leka, great to see you and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jonathan. I am so excited to be here.
Yeah, so am I.
And a long time coming.
I know. And I was glad that we connected at BP so we could that was big for me because I hadn't met everybody in person. So it was nice to kind of put all the faces to the names, even though we see each other all over social. So I'm excited to have you. I want to get into your background, but I have to start here because I've just been watching it. You had a squatter recently. Tell us about that, and then we'll go backwards into how you got into this crazy stuff.
Yeah, so it's a funny story because I was getting my hair and makeup done for BP Con, and I was about to go introduce the whole event to 3,000 people. So I was about to go on stage, and then my property manager called me and said, hey, there's people living in one of your units. And when I went and talked to them, they said they had signed a lease with someone else and now they're refusing to leave. And I was like, wait, what? That unit is the price on that unit is about $1 million. Our rent was $3,000 a month. And I was like, I'm not, it's not even the money, but I just don't want someone that is unlawful to be living there.
Yeah, of course. But when you first got the call, though, did you think that they maybe got scammed by one of those people who puts 100%. Up the listing? Yeah, right. That's 100%. What I would have thought. And we'll just work it out.
And then we were like, yeah, we just signed the lease with them. Like, what's the big deal, right?
Right.
But then I was like, okay, I'm about to hit the biggest stage of my life and I'm not going to deal with it today. So I pushed it to the side and then I finished BP Con. I went home and the next day I went out and met these people and they had not signed any lease and they had just broken the lock, moved in and had just started to take over the space. And when I met them, I was able to peek inside the house. They had ripped out all the carpets. They ripped out the door jambs. It was crazy what they were trying to do to this place that didn't belong to them. They were not, legally allowed to live there. They hadn't signed a lease with me. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to call the cops. And the cops said that this was a civil matter, not a criminal matter. And so they couldn't get involved.
When you did that first one, you were still at a corporate job. Were you thinking well, this is going to be good ancillary income, or I want to get out of my 9-to-5, or that still hadn't even happened yet? When did that happen where you're like, wait, I don't want to do this. I want to do that all the time?
No, I actually bought my first house after I quit my corporate job.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was in a very rigid corporate environment. I worked for Nordstrom Corporate. And unlike tech, you have to show up at work every day. You have to work from your desk. And you don't leave, until 5 p.m. every day. And so there was really no way for me to go and explore and build a company while still in my job because I tried to do that.
Yeah.
I gave it a best shot. I tried to meet brokers and contractors and builders and no one would meet me beyond 5 p.m. because we had family and, their own lives. And so I was like, okay, if I want to do this successfully and give it my best shot, then I have to quit my job.
Wow. So that's rare though. That's really rare. So you made the jump before you even really got started because you knew that was the path that you wanted to do.
I had just set up my company as Corp. That's it.
Yeah.
And I had educated myself a ton while I was in my job because that is something I could do afterward.
Yeah.
I don't remember watching TV for a year. I just would go home and read real estate books because there was no podcast. This is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
No real groups, nothing virtual. And so everything was books, videos, and then just your local RIA and your REIT.
Yeah.
And so I try to get as much information from all of that. And then I said, okay, I think I'm ready to buy my first project, but I can't do that successfully unless I quit my 9 to 5. So I quit, and then within 3 months and a lot of hustling later, I went under contract on my first house.
I mean, is that something you'd say like, yeah, let's, do it? It's just like, there's so many
No,
things that go wrong.
I honestly, like, my biggest feedback to people, like someone that wants to truly be mentored or coached or just come to me for advice, is go partner with someone that
Yeah.
knows what they're doing, get a good mentor to teach you, do a good one flip with them.
Yeah.
Can't bring the money, you can't bring the deal, then find other ways to add value.
Yeah.
And just say, I'll go to your property every day. I'll take photos. I'll drive the property. I'll meet with contractors. I'll go find your flooring, cabinet, style, whatever it is. There's a million ways to get involved. Go do that.
Yeah.
You may
I,
have money, whatever it is, but just go do that, because that's going to just set you up for success.
I agree. I think like for somebody who's like doesn't have a ton of money and wants to learn about flipping, like being a gopher, like if someone was a gopher for me on a flip, I would give them a percentage of the profit, like a small
I'm
percentage,
gonna
and pay. Like we all need that as flippers because there's so many, loose ends just going to get permits. Like that just needs to be done. What do you think has been the hardest part just about flipping as a whole, whether something's changed or just over your history? What's the hardest part for just being a house flipper?
I think keeping the capital.
Mm,
Because it's like always, you make money and then you either reinvest it in real estate, or you go buy a new flip. So I just feel like there's always like a dearth for more capital, which is not a bad thing. That means you're just doing more projects.
yeah.
But I'm like constantly either putting it back into my rental portfolio or I'm going out and buying new projects. Then I feel like I'm always trapped for liquid cash.
Yeah.
And I'm high net worth, like super
Yeah.
high net
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah.
What's the point, right?
But there's a lot of balls in the air. But that's the thing. I think also the better you get at networking and the more people that the more deals come across your table.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, yeah, how do I figure out how to keep this going? But also be safe for my family and make sure that we're protected. Obviously,
Exactly.
these are all assets. So that's been something though that you've figured out, over the
I
years
mean,
on what the best way to do it is.
yeah. And there's a lot of, like, the one thing is, when I first started, right, I literally didn't have any money to keep reinvesting or to take chances. But now I've built my portfolio to the point where at least I have all of this equity that
Yeah.
I can tap into. And yes, interest rates are super high. It's going to cost me more to even just get the capital out. But if I'm able to take that out and then pay off PITI on that, and instead of just interest only payments, I'm still putting it back in my portfolio, but I'm still able to get all that equity out. So just, finding a really good financial analyst and a lender to understand your portfolio, and that can help you along the way to say, hey, this is very high equity. Like you can take out 500K, or, this building is really not performing. I think you can sell it and then reinvest it into something else. So finding a really good asset manager and a lender and a tax person to constantly keep looking at your portfolio and coming up with new ways to help you set you up for future deals, future projects. I think that is huge.